o'clock on a Saturday morning. Time to begin our slow flow namaste hometown studio yoga practice. Thanks so much for joining me. If you just turned on your screen, you're going to need your blanket to be rolled up like a Tootsie Roll. So nice and nice, not too fat, nice and smooth. And we're going to start off again on our backs, spoiling you all during this time. All right, so you'll take your blanket and you'll run it along the length of your mat in that Tootsie Roll shape. You may want to take your block. You may be able to just kind of roll it over if you want a little bit of lift in your head, or maybe you have a sweatshirt or something. And you'll come down onto your seat, all right? And you'll think of the blanket as running up the length of your spine as you settle yourself down onto your Tootsie Roll. Make sure your hips are down on the floor, so don't leave them lifted up, because that's just not going to do what we're looking for. We want to scoot the hips down so that the hips are on the floor, but you don't have a big, huge gap between your hips and where the blanket starts. And then go ahead and bend your feet. No, bend your knees and bring your feet down to the floor. Take your hands to your belly and just start breathing. Of course, you were breathing before, but now you're noticing your breath. And you'll breathe in and you'll breathe out. So as you rest and steady and find your way into your breath, I'll tell you a little story. So last Wednesday night, I was teaching class, and I get an earworm. You know what that is, right? Where you're hearing the same song over and over in your head, and you can't get rid of it. And so the particular song that I had, I didn't know all the words to it, but I understood that the beginning of it was, "Hello, is anybody out there?" So I can't get rid of it. "Hello, is anybody out there?" And I get the gist of it and the tune of it, and I can't kind of get it out of my head, right? Keep resting on your back, right? This is your time to sort of settle in as I tell you this silly story. So I call my son Brian, who is my source for any lyrics that I don't understand or know, or any movie he's seen. He can always give me the quote that you're supposed to know. So I call him and I say, "Hey, Brian, remember that song? It's like, 'Hello, is anybody out there?'" And he's like, "Oh, classic, Pink Floyd. The name of the song is Comfortably Numb." And it's about, and he goes on to tell me what it's about. It's not about anything yogic, trust me. And we have kind of a laugh about it, and he says, it's a great song, which it is. It's a memorable song. It's an earworm kind of song for people. So, of course, the main thing that I want to get across is that sense of, hey, is anybody out there? And as we are in this point where we're practicing in our home studios, it's simple enough to think, is anybody out there, right? I'd like to invite you this morning to sort of turn that around to a different song called "I Hope You Dance." So after I taught my class Wednesday, I hear from one of my regulars. Anybody who shows up to my class, by the way, is my favorite. So I have a lot of favorites. But I hear from Barb, and she said, "Mary, I did do all the down dogs that you had us doing," which made me feel great. And then I heard from another Karen, who sends me this awesome message, and she says, "Hey, I was able to do 2 of the balancing poses that you taught that in class I could never do," which was awesome to hear from her. Awesome to recognize that she found a shape and a pose that she thought she didn't have accessible to her, right? She thought she was alone. She's in the studio, she's doing it, she's feeling like, "I'm falling over, I can't do balancing poses." And then as it turns out, she could do balance poses. And maybe the reason that she was able to do those balance poses is because she chose to dance. right? There's the message. We all are in a place where we can dance like nobody's watching. We can try things. And I always say to students, if you're in the studio, no one is watching what you're doing except for me. For the most part, everybody else is trying to do their own practice. But we can't help it. We get a little bit self-conscious in a room full of people. Now that you're in your own space at home, you can let go of that sense of self-consciousness. All right, so now you're going to roll off your blanket, and I hope your spine feels nice and long. You'll take the blanket, and you're going to turn it the other way. Now, this is where I truly do wish we were together, because there's a sweet spot of where you want this Tootsie Roll to go. It's going, just like you're guessing, it's coming across the shoulders on the back, but you need to bring your shoulders down to the floor. You don't want the roll in your low back. And you can take your arms out to the side. Now, if your low back isn't tender, you can always straighten through the legs, but this is slow flow. So I'm going to say keep your knees bent if that feels better. So now we're opening up the chest in the opposite direction. And again, you'll just steady into your breath. And feel what feels good to you. Okay. I hope you dance. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. I hope you get your fill to eat, but always keep the hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid you love, that love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me you'll give faith a fighting chance, and when you get the chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. So this morning, as we move through our practice, we will move with that awareness of nobody's watching. Let's dance like nobody's watching. Go ahead and use your hands, make your way up into a seated pose. And then you can actually just sit up on the Tootsie Roll. You don't have to work to refold it. You can sit up on your Tootsie Roll. Now, if you need a little more height, you may want to refold it. Rock from side to side. I have a frog in my throat. I always seem to do that when I first start teaching. All right, sit tall. Feel the length of the spine. We did that spine opener by dividing the spine in half with the blanket initially. So we want to sit tall as if we're snuggling the blanket onto the back. And then we open the chest in the opposite direction so we feel the lift of the heart. And we'll relax our hands down on our knees. Good. And let your head line up at the top of the spine. Breathe in. Take your arms out wide and snuggle your shoulders onto your back. Good. Take a breath. Push down into your hips. Lengthen up through your torso. Breathe and feel and notice what you feel and notice. Good. And then go ahead and bend your elbows and bring your arms into how wonderful. You can also call them goalpost arms, but I feel like how wonderful is where I need to be this morning. Hug your belly. And then float your arms up and overhead, keeping your shoulders soft. Good. Take a breath in. Reach from the hips up through the fingertips. And then exhale, take your palms, turn them down, reach your fingertips wide. Good. Then turn your palms to face up like you're pushing the walls away. Good. And then bend the elbows. How wonderful. Good. Turn the palms to face forward so we get a little movement in the wrists, right? Back and forth. And then reach the arms up and overhead. Reach through the fingertips. Good. And you can turn your palms forward here. Again, just to loosen up the wrists. And then exhale, take your hands out wide. Push down into your hips, lengthen through the top of the head. push the walls away, turning the palms up. So you feel the ball mounts of your index fingers reaching away from one another. And then bend your elbows, goalpost arms, turn the palms to face forward, snuggle the shoulders. So we're just enjoying all that length that we found as we were laying on our backs. And then reach the arms up and overhead. Good, breathe. And then take your arms out wide. Good. All right, push the fingertips away, turn the palms up, flex into the wrist. Good. Those of you who've been practicing with me for a while may have some clues as to where we're going with this. Breathe in, but sometimes I don't have the clues, so you know, let's go with that too. All right, reach the arms up and overhead. I do have a clue though, it's all written down. I can't read your response, I can't decide whether or not you like what we're doing. Good, exhale and let go. Good. All right, arms feel a little stronger, engaged, a little more engaged. Float the arms up, reach the left fingertips out to the side, reach the right arm up and over the right ear. Push into that right hip as you anchor into the right hip. Feel yourself get long. And go the opposite way. Good. And we'll do 2 more rounds. Trying not to drop your head to lead, but actually reach through from the right hip to the right fingers. And same thing on the opposite side. Feel that shoulder open. Breathe in. Reach, reach, reach. Extending long, and then come back, and come back to center. Good. Wiggle the arms out a little bit, and now we'll come to hands and knees, tabletop pose. Line yourself up in tabletop with your wrist creases right under your shoulders. Your knees are right underneath your hips. You're in a nice neutral space, right? And once you've found tabletop, go ahead and engage the strength of your core and hug your belly onto your spine. And let yourself get nice and long from your tailbone through to the top of your head. When you found neutral, now understanding where neutral is, go ahead and reach your belly button up towards the ceiling. I do like to do cat-cow pretty much in every practice I do, because for me, it really informs you how to connect rhythm to breath to movement. We're just moving with the rhythm of our breath. If there's a place in your cat-cow back and forth that feels particularly good and you want to stay there, then you're going to stay there. It's moving at a pace that feels good to you. Good. All right, now let's come back to neutral. We'll come into a twist here. You'll reach your left hand, one handprint forward in front of you, and then take your right arm, reach the right arm all the way up to the ceiling, stacking your right shoulder over your left, reaching up, up, up. And then as you exhale from your belly, twist and thread the right arm, bring it down to the floor or to a block or to your blanket. So the right shoulder comes all the way down, and then we'll walk the left fingertips forward, and then slide the left toes to the back edge of the mat, and lift the left armpit. Good, now bring the left knee back down to the floor. Push into the left fingertips, twisting from the belly, feel the left shoulder come back over the right. Let's just breathe here and notice. What are you feeling? Maybe you want to float the left hand back. Actually, I'm going to ask you to float your left hand back. Reach the right arm all the way up towards the ceiling again, so you're rinsing out that right shoulder, twisting from the belly, and release the right hand to the floor. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Reach your right hand, one hand print forward, take your left arm and reach up towards the ceiling, thread the left arm underneath the right. You'll bring your left shoulder down to the floor, or you'll pad the shoulder, and then walk your right fingertips forward. Don't forget to breathe. Good. So you may notice if you put a little more pressure, like you're cupping your fingers, you're lifting up onto the right fingertips, you feel that right shoulder getting a little more spacious. And we'll slide the right toes back for just a second, pushing into the right heel. And then bring the right knee back down and breathe. Okay, the right hand comes back underneath the shoulder. Rinse the left shoulder out by reaching the left arm up and overhead. Release the left hand back down to the mat. Take a breath. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Back to neutral. Left hand comes one handprint forward. Reach your right hand up towards the ceiling. Thread your right arm underneath your left. Bring the right shoulder down to the mat. Walk the left fingertips forward. Okay, this time slide your left toes back and keep the left heel pushing back towards the wall behind you. You're cupping the left fingers, lifting the left armpit, and you're pushing into the left hip. You're breathing into the space of your twist. Finding balance here. Sometimes when I teach this pose at the studio, people fall over. If you've fallen over at home, remember, you're dancing like nobody's watching. Just feel your breath hold you. Nice and steady. And then we'll do the same thing. Well, first we'll come out. So bring your left hand down, bring your left knee down. Reach the right arm up, all the way up. And then release the right hand to the floor. Let's do the opposite side. Right hand comes forward one, left arm reaches up. Thread the left arm underneath the right. Walking the right fingertips forward. So you are up on your fingertips, you're extending long through the right fingers. And then slide your right toes to the back edge of the mat. All right? These are bus stops. So if you feel like, ooh, I'm going to fall over, and I don't care if anyone's looking, I don't like to do that. You don't have to take your foot back, all right? Please do what feels like your dance, right? Elaine from Seinfeld, she did her dance. She thought it was awesome, and it was because everybody remembered it. But here you are at home. Maybe you'll have the practice you'll never forget, where it's like, hey, I did multiple balancing poses I didn't think I could do. All right, come back to center. Rinse out that shoulder. Good. And then come back to your tabletop. Exhale into cat. Inhale through to cow. Back to neutral. One more shoulder rinse, one more twist. Left hand comes forward, one print. Right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Reach the right hand underneath the left. Bring the right shoulder to the floor. Walk the left fingertips forward. Slide the left toes back. Find some balance here. You're up on your fingertips. And as much as you're on your fingertips, you're really opening the left shoulder. Engage the strength of the core. Now I'm offering another bus stop, and nobody has to go if they don't want to. Reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. Really? Yep. Reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. And then take the back of the left hand to the outside of the right hip. Again, feeling the strength of the left shoulder opening over the right. It is your practice. Do what feels good to you. All right, release the left hand if you've got it in the bind. Bring the left knee down, rinse out the right shoulder. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So the right hand comes forward, one print. We'll reach the left arm up, thread the left arm underneath the right. Good, and you'll take it to a place where you can breathe comfortably and feel good about where you are. Fantastic. All right, oops, did you remember to do the bind? Anyhow, make your way back to your neutral tabletop. Good, and then take a breath. All right, now come all the way down onto your bellies. And bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders. You're going to rock a little bit from side to side. And then just notice what you're noticing here. So in Sphinx pose, you could collapse into your belly and drop your belly to the floor, or you can push into the tops of the feet, hug the legs in towards one another so the legs are strong and they're helping to hold you. And then pull your belly off the mat and you'll get that length in your low back. As you drag your hands back isometrically, look down the length of the nose and just enjoy the space of your Sphinx pose, right? So that's the dance, that's the engagement. You can rock a little bit from side to side as you push into the tops of the feet. Feel and notice what you're feeling and noticing. All right, now I'd like you to take your right hand and reach for your left elbow. Good. And now you're going to roll onto your right hip and stack your feet. So your left foot's going to come right over your right. And I'd like you to think of lining yourself up, almost as if you were snuggling against that blanket like we did at the beginning. The left hand can hold you here. And we want the right elbow to be right underneath the right shoulder. Good. Now from your belly, feel your left shoulder come over your right. Take your left hand next to your left hip. Flexing the toes back towards your knees. So I don't want you to bring this left leg forward. If you feel like you're really off balance, you could put your left foot on the floor, but we want to stay nice and long. All right, good. Full breath in, full breath out. Reach your left arm up towards the ceiling and melt the weight of the left arm into the left shoulder. Good. Full breath in, full breath out. All right, now you've got the strength of the core holding you. You're flexing your toes back towards your knees. Maybe you want to float your left heel up. Maybe not. Good, take your head back. Good. Breathe in, breathe out. How did I know that you dropped your head forward? Because people do that all the time, right? Fairly predictable. Good. Exhale and release. Come back down. You're going to roll to the opposite side. I prefer to not do it with my back side facing you, so I'm going to turn around, but you can stay where you are. Just come into your Sphinx pose. Rock a little bit from side to side. Mindful in the Sphinx pose, right? Not just like hanging out. And then turn your left hand to reach for your right wrist. Come onto your left hip. Stack the right foot over the left. Roll from the belly, bring the right shoulder back so it's right over the left. Good, and then reach the right arm up. Turn the corners of your mouth up. Yep. Smile like no one can see you smiling. Good. All right, now maybe you want to reach the right foot up off of the left leg. Good. Don't forget to breathe here. Excellent. Exhale. Release the right foot, release the right hand. Make your way into tabletop. And then walk your feet back. So you're in a low plank. Then using your in-breath, lift your knees and lift your hips. Downward facing dog, first one of the morning. Hug the belly in towards the spine. And then look in between your hands, walk your feet forward, keeping the knees super soft. Push down into your feet, inhale, rise up. Good, exhale, take your hands through to heart center. Start with that nice strong foundation with the feet right underneath the hip bones. Reach the arms up and overhead. Melt the shoulders. All right, if you've locked your knees, go ahead and unlock them. Good. If you've thrown your hips forward, go ahead and pull them back. Good. Bring your shoulders right over your hips. Take your arms out wide. Reach through the fingertips. Feel the tips of the shoulders hug onto the back. Feel your spine as if it were resting on that Tootsie Roll. Turn your palms to face out and push the walls away so the arms are strong. And then bring the arms into goalpost arms. Good, and you can turn the hands to face one another so you move the wrist around a little bit. Reach the arms up and overhead. Soften the shoulders. Turn the palms again. Push against that imaginary wall. So you're not bringing the arms forward, but you're actually engaging the muscles in the back. Good, and then exhale, take your hands out wide, turn the palms, push the walls away. Good, reach the arms into goalpost or how wonderful. Turn the palms to face one another, reach the arms up and overhead, keeping the shoulders soft, keeping this core strong. Maybe turn the palms to face forward, push against the wall. So this is the action that we have when we're doing downward facing dog, right? Shoulders are on the back, head's in between the arms. And we'll do that a third time. Take the arms out wide, reach through the tips of the fingers. You can feel the energy, that chi through the fingertips. Maybe push the walls away so that you get that stretch in the wrist. Good, if you've spent a lot of time on the computer lately, maybe you're overdoing that, so that's a nice release. And then take your arms into goalpost arms. Hug the belly, turn the palms to face one another. Good, reach the arms up and overhead, soften the shoulders, turn the palms, practicing that downward facing dog with the hands. Breathing and noticing. Good. Exhale, bring your hands through the center of your heart. Hinge at your hips. Reach your head forward first, right? So long through the spine. Strengthen the muscles in the legs. You don't need to overdo here. And then push down into your feet. Inhale and rise up. Reaching the arms up and overhead. We'll come into a variation of half forward fold. So we're not trying to touch the floor at all. Nobody's watching if you did, and nobody would care if they were watching, right? Do what feels good. So no need to over pull on that low back or hamstring. Right, push down into your feet, reach your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, hinge at the hips. One more forward fold. Nice and easy though. Knees bent, pushing your hips back, hugging the core. Release your hands to the mat. Palms down, fingertips pointing forward, and step your feet back into a plank pose. And inhale and lift up into downward facing dog. Release your knees to the floor. You can pad your knees if they're a little tender. I would say my left side is more tender than the right. Bring your right foot forward. If you've got some books or some blocks, you may want to use them. Got them. Good, and then walk the blocks back. Bring the right knee over the ankle. Reach the arms up. Melt the shoulders away. Full breath in. Full exhale, letting go. Exhale, take your arms out into goalpost arms. Snuggle the shoulders, strengthen the core. Keep that right knee weight bearing over the ankle. And just breathe here and notice what you are noticing. And then inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Release your hands to the blocks. Bring the blocks forward. Take your right knee back to meet your left. Come into that low plank. Full plank, downward facing dog. Nice. Let out any sounds. Maybe you want to take an audible, or an inhale through your nose and then an audible exhale through your mouth. Release your knees to the floor. Pad that right knee if you need to. Float your left knee forward. Take your blocks. Frame the left foot to start so you feel that sensation of anchoring the left knee into the left ankle. Bring the hands back. Reach the arms up. Melt your shoulders away. Breathe and notice. Release your hands to the blocks. Take the blocks forward. We're in that flowy part right now. Left knee comes back to meet the right. Lift up into plank. Back into downward facing dog. Knees are bent just enough that you can lift your hips up towards the ceiling and breathe into that space. And then release your knees. Bring the right foot forward. Rise up. You can take your right hand to the right knee just to anchor it down. Reach the arms up. Now come into goalpost arms. Good. Hug the belly, lift the heart. Reach the arms up. Exhale. Right foot back to meet your left. Plank pose. Downward facing dog. Lower to your knees. Float the left foot forward. Good. Come up. Bringing the left knee over the ankle. Arms rise up. Goalpost arms. Good. Breathe. Full breath in. Full breath out. Reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale, release your hands to the mat. Take your left foot back to meet your right. You're in low plank. Take a breath here. Keep your elbows right next to your body. Lower your chest halfway down. And then pull all the way through. Bring your forehead to the mat. Hug the energy up the legs. Engage the core to support your low back. Snuggle the shoulders as if you were squeezing into that Tootsie Roll. And then inhale and lift your chest, lift your head. And come into a nice back bend. Pushing into the tops of the feet to keep the legs helping and engaged. And breathe here. And then let's come into Sphinx pose. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Take a breath as you drag your hands back. Pull your heart forward. Keep the legs charged. Take the right hand, reach for the left elbow. Come onto your right hip. Stack your feet. Good. I hope you have your blocks nearby. A block nearby, you don't need to. A book, whatever you're using. All right, we're revisiting Vishnu's couch, or a variation of Vashisthasana. Right, so your right hand is in front of your right elbow. Your feet are stacked, your hips are stacked, your left shoulder's over your right, your head is back, right? So you can look down to see where your feet are, but then pull your shoulders open. Good. And now you've got that block. Take the left foot, bring it halfway forward. Yeah. So the left foot's going to come forward like a kickstand. You can think of it that way. And then as you push into the outer edge of your right foot and you push into the whole sole of the left foot, take that block and bring it underneath your hip. Roll the left shoulder over the right. As you push down into your feet, float the left arm up and feel the left shoulder anchor down towards the right elbow. From the right elbow, reach through the left fingertips. The head is back. Yeah, maybe the head's back a little bit more. Good. Who am I talking to out there? Is anybody out there? Breathe. Exhale. Reach for the block. Lift your hips up. Release the block. Come back down into Sphinx. Rock a little bit from side to side. Maybe reach your right arm out to the side. Tent the fingers. And just sort of release the tension in the right arm by pushing into the right fingertips. Inhale, come back to center. I'm going to turn around. You don't need to do that. Take your left hand and reach for the right elbow. So we're coming on to the opposite side here. And roll the right hip over the left. All right, you've got your block nearby. Flex the toes. So I always offer bus stops, right? So if that first version of Vishnu's couch was your stop, it's totally awesome to sing your own song, right? Right foot comes forward, toes point forward. Good. Left toes still point forward too. So all the toes are pointing in the same direction. Push into the outer edge of your left foot, push into the sole of the right foot. Bring your hips, bring the block underneath your left hip. Beautiful. Take your right shoulder, roll it over your left, and float your right arm so it's weight bearing over your left shoulder. From the left elbow up through the right fingertips, breathe into the space of your Vashisthasana. what happens if you push a little bit into your feet, down into the floor? Do you feel a lift through the shoulders, through the back of the head? Just breathe here and notice. Good. Exhale, reach for the block. Take the block out from under your hip. Come back down onto your bellies. Good. Sphinx pose. Now take your hands next to your chest. Bring your forehead to the floor. Curl your toes under. Inhale, lift up into plank and back into downward facing dog. Breathe here and notice. Feel the shoulders snuggle onto the back. Release your knees to the floor. Bring your left foot forward to your left hand. Good. Take the left hand on the inside of your left knee and roll your left shoulder over your right. Good. So your right hand's still on the floor or on the block. Feel that twist. And then like you're opening up the curtain, take the left palm, reach it forward. There's a little flex in the elbow and then, or in the wrist, and then reach the left arm up to the ceiling. Turn your fingers towards the ceiling and breathe. Breathe into the space of your twist. Release your left hand to the left knee. Inhale, rise up. Here we go again, right? Low lunge. And then we'll bring the hands to the inside of the left foot. Okay, this is crazy. No one's watching. You may feel like you want to put a block on the outside of your left foot. Take your left upper arm, reach it underneath the left leg, and place your hand either on the floor or on the block. All right, for me, the block was too high. My legs aren't that long. Do what feels good to you here, just this nice hip opener. All right, release. And we'll start off by taking the left leg back to meet the right. Low plank, high plank, downward facing dog. Lower the knees to the floor. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So we start off with the right foot forward, right under the knee. And you can drag it if it didn't get there in one swoop. Inhale, come up. Oops, I'm sorry. Left hand to the floor first. We'll do that little twist. Roll the right shoulder over the left. And then open the curtain. Push the right hand away from you. And then reach the right arm up. And then turn the palm to face away from you. Breathing in as you take the head back. And then we'll exhale, release the right hand to the inside of the right leg. Oops. We'll rise up. Good. Crescent pose. See, this is where Rachel or Carol would have said to me, oh, you forgot the other side. Or they wouldn't have even said it. They just would have sort of shown me what I missed. Is anybody out there? Good. All right, hands to the inside of the right foot. Maybe walk the right foot out a little bit. This could be your bus stop. This is enough of a hip opener for you this morning, then that's what it is. All right, take the right arm underneath the right leg, those of you who want to, and place the right hand so the weight of the right thigh is dropping into the right upper arm. Don't forget to breathe. Bless you. That's my technician, Patrick. All right. Right hand comes forward. Right knee comes back. Come all the way down onto your belly. Take your time getting there. Use your core to guide you down. Come all the way onto your bellies. Let's start off. We'll stack the hands and rest the forehead on the hands. Bend your knees and switch your feet from side to side. All right, release your feet. Reach your arms out in front of you. Bring your forehead down to the floor. All right, your forehead's on the floor. The arms are out in front. Now turn your palms to face one another. On the in-breath, lift your left leg and push into the left toes. Reach, reach, reach. Release the left leg down. Lift your right leg. Bring it back down. Good. Now, on the inhale, lift your left shoulder, your left arm, and your head. And release back down. Inhale, lift your right shoulder, lift your right arm, extend through the top of the head, and release back down. Take a breath here. Now we're going to create a swimming sensation. So inhale, lift your left arm, your left shoulder, your head, lift your right leg, and release. Inhale, lift your right arm, your right shoulder, your head, your left leg. Release. And just like I said, it's like a swimming, nice flowing back and forth from side to side. Maybe you're noticing you're finding a little bit more heat this morning. And of course, if you're dancing, you set the pace, right? There is no music here, just the music in your head. Is anybody out there counting how many times we've done? Somebody's counting. All right. Come back. Stack your hands, bend your knees, switch your feet from side to side. So as much as we want to use the core, sometimes we use our low back when we do those kinds of things. Let's release that. All right. Bring your forehead to the floor. Bring your hands next to your chest. Lift up, child's pose. Knees come wide, big toes come together. Send your hips heavy over your heels. And release. Feel that space. If you push more into your hands so your hips get heavier, you may discover that you have more release in your low back. Inhale, bring your knees together, walk your hands forward. Good, so you've got your shoulders over your wrist creases. Lift your knees off the floor, lift your hips up to the ceiling, bend into your knees. Take a breath here. Okay, I've offered you a couple of variations for Vishnu's couch or Vashisthasana. This is the third variation, but remember the first one was where your hips were on the floor, the second one was where your hips were on the blocks. This one will come on the knife edge of the right foot, so the toes will point out to the side, and you'll kickstand that left foot halfway up. Take your left hand to your left hip. All the toes are pointing in the same direction. Roll from the belly so your left shoulder comes over your right. Your head comes back. Your head comes back. There you go. Now lift your left hip into your left hand, and then float the left arm up. So you're lifting the hips up, you're breathing, you're dancing. Feel a steadiness in your breath, a softness in your gaze. Exhale. Release the hand to the floor. Take the feet back, come down onto or into child's pose. Walk your hands back so your hips are heavy over your heels. I'd like you to bring your head down to something, bend your elbows, and wiggle your hands around. So maybe right now you're really feeling the right wrist. Release it by moving it around. Okay. I can't have you walking in circles around your house, although that's what most of us are doing. But we want to walk in both directions, right? So let's do the opposite side. I'm going to turn again. You don't need to. All right, we'll start off in our downward facing dog. We'll turn the left toes out to face forward. We'll bring the right foot forward. Good. So we really want to kickstand. Weight bear that right knee over the ankle. So you can step the foot maybe off your mat in order for that to happen. Bring your right hand first to your hip. As you push down into your feet, roll from the belly, bringing the right shoulder over the left. Those of you who have been practicing a long time, you may feel like actually stacking one foot on top of the other, but we're in slow flow. Right arm reaches up. So there's never a need to push in any yoga class, because we want to dance as if nobody's watching. Exhale, release the hand back down, come back into child's pose. Bend your elbows, wiggle and shake out your wrist creases. All right, walk your hands back. Take your blanket, and this time go ahead and fold it up so that it's nice and square. Right? Whatever you're sitting on is the foundation. Whatever is touching the floor. So when we were doing those variations on Vashisthasana, the hands, or the one hand and the one foot, those were our foundations, right? So we'll sit up on our blankets or our blocks. Anything to give your hips a little more height. Actually, I like my blanket folded up high. And if you have a more familiar way of sitting with the feet, maybe you want to mix it up a little bit this morning. No one's watching, right? Okay, take a breath. Reach your arms up and overhead. And soften your shoulders. Good. Get nice and long. Take your arms out to goalpost arms. Snuggle the shoulders. Maybe you feel a little more spacious in the front of the body after that. After doing those nice heart opener poses. Breathe. And then from your belly, go ahead and twist to your left. Feel the arms stay balanced. So don't bring your right elbow forward. Bring your right shoulder forward. Keep your head at the top of the spine, and then exhale, come back to center. And let's twist the opposite way. And then inhale, come back to center. Good. Twist to the left. Bringing the right shoulder forward, taking the left shoulder back. Inhale, come back. Twist the opposite way. Inhale, come back. Good. All right, release your hands. Okay, so now I'm going to teach one of those poses that I always lose my confidence in teaching. And the reason I do is because we get super twisted between left and right. It's like we forget the words of the song that we think we know so well. So if you have your strap, your robe, anything to give you a little more space. You may even want to grab a towel if you have a towel nearby. Right. Bring your left foot forward and bend your right knee. Take your strap or your towel and wrap the towel so that it comes forward, reaches forward, all right? It's wrapped around your tailbone or your sacrum. Take a breath and hug your right knee in towards your chest. Turn your left toes up. All right, Suzanne, I'm glad you're here with us this morning. I'm so happy to see you again. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Somebody's out there. Good. All right. Keep your left hand on your shin and reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. So you're nice and long again. And then from your belly, you'll twist to your left. And the outside of the right arm is going to come on the inside of the left leg. With me so far? Okay, turn your palm away from you. Right? Bend your elbow and hinge your elbow behind your right foot. Are you still with me? Keep your left hand here. Yeah. So sit tall. Good. Are you still with me? I hope so. Is anybody out there? Sorry. I know I said I wasn't going to sing that song this morning, but I can't help it. Okay. If you see your strap or your towel or whatever you're using, see if your right hand can grab the strap or the towel. Oh, don't move it. Don't move the arm out of the space. There we go. Okay, now inhale and lift. Release the left hand. Take it out wide from your belly. Twist. Ooh, hello, plant. Bend your left elbow and grab the other part of the strap. Lift your chest. Twist to your left. Toes point towards the ceiling. Feel the steady rhythm of your breath. Of course, if you're not where I am, that's okay. It happens all the time, whether people are watching or not. All right, feel yourself get long. Twisting from the belly. So remember, twists don't come from the shoulders to the neck. The twist originates through the belly all the way up the length of the spine. The head just follows the movement of the spine. Okay, unwind. Good. And bring your right leg forward. Bend your left knee. You got the strap wrapped around your hips. Strap comes forward. Good. Toes point towards the ceiling. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Start by hugging and lifting. Right? So the left knee is bent. Left knee is bent. And we wrap the hands around the front of the left leg. The toes point towards the ceiling. And we'll reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. As you get tall, you'll take the outside of the left arm to the inside of the left leg, reaching kind of towards your right toes. Right? Now turn your thumb down and just hinge your elbow. You don't have to do anything yet, just hinge your elbow. Good. So your palm's facing away from you. And then you'll see your blanket or your towel or your strap, whatever you were using. I guess if you're using a towel, that's a little short, but you're going to use that for space. All right, so now you've got a hold of the strap. And then we'll release the right hand and sit up really tall. Float the right arm out to the side. Turn the palm behind us towards that left hip. Do you remember earlier when I had to do that little bind? Yeah, it all comes back together again. Grab the strap. Inhale, lift. From your belly, twist to your right. Feel your breath nice and steady. If you had that Tootsie Roll behind your spine, you feel the spine long, hugging into the shape of the Tootsie Roll. So your head comes back, your heart is lifted, your right shoulder is behind your left, you're pushing the left arm into the left knee, and you're breathing. And then slowly unwind. Come back to center. Take your strap, put it off to the side. If you started off wearing a pair of socks, you may want to put your socks on right now. If you had a sweatshirt that you started with, you may want to grab your sweatshirt. We'll come down onto our backs. You've got your blanket nearby. Okay, come down onto your backs. Hug your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. Nice and symmetrical. Release your feet to the floor. Reach your legs out in front of you. Reach your arms behind you. So you're nice and tall from the tips of your toes through your fingertips. Now I invite you to reach through the right fingers and through the right toes and see if you can make them the longest, farthest away from one another as you can. And then relax and reach through your left fingers and your left toes. And relax. Good. Now, all the fingers, all the toes are going to pull away from one another like you're in a stretching machine, like you're way overdoing it, like you're way overthinking who's watching you. You need to just let that go, right? So you're stretching and you're overdoing, and then you think, oh, how do I let it go? I just let it go. Relax your arms. Reach for your blanket, that folded blanket. bring it underneath your knees. So your heels are touching the floor. Tuck your shoulders underneath your chest. Relax your hands so that the back of the hands touch the floor. Let your feet fall away from one another. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Take an audible exhale out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Audible exhale through the mouth. One more breath. Inhale through the nose. Take an audible exhale through the mouth. Take a release through the body, from the top of the head through the tips of the toes. Surrender to your mat. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes. Wiggle your tongue in your mouth to release the upper jaw from the lower jaw. Feel the weight of the shoulders release to the floor. Release the weight of the arms down the length of the arms to the palms. Imagine warm sand being poured into the palms, just weighting the hands down. And from your shoulders, through the rib cage, through the belly, through the hips, surrender to your mat. And from your hips down the length of the thighs, the heaviness of the knees resting on the blanket. The release of the calves and the shins and the heels and the ankles. Through to the baby toe, up to the big toe. Breathe into wherever you are as you settle into your Shavasana. If you'd like to stay here a little longer in your Shavasana, I invite you to do that. Let's see if I can get through the words of Leanne Womack's song, I Hope You Dance. First verse anyway. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, here I go again. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. As always, I'm honored to sit in the seat of teacher. If you'd like to join me in a seated pose, you can do that, or you can stay where you are. We'll sit tall, we'll feel the body open. And we'll bring our hands to heart center and bow our heads to our hearts with love and gratitude. Namaste.